Um, this is a part 2 of the video before the last video. So, and it's 37 minutes, something like that. But make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, and like this video and all my other videos, and enjoy. Goodbye.
Angel of darkness, angel of darkness, the world is in your hands, but I will
Ladies and
fight
gentlemen, the
until
Republican nominee for President Donald J. Trump and the Democratic nominee for President Hillary Clinton.
Millionaire, I'm a young money millionaire, tougher than Nigerian hair,
And we are going to respect one another, lift each other up. We are going to be looking for ways to celebrate our diversity. And we are
Smoke weed every day.
to bring them in to working on behalf of our country. I have a very positive together. That's why the slogan of my campaign is Stronger Together. Because I think if we work together, if we overcome the divisiveness,
Wants to fuck me. You wanna know why? Because I'm the big black pussy cat.
we make not just those at the top, making sure that we have the best education system from preschool through college and making it affordable, and so much else. If we set those goals and we go together to try to achieve them, there's nothing, in my opinion, that America can't do.
I agree with that. I agree with everything she said. I began this campaign because I was so tired. Healthcare is going up by numbers that are astronomical, 68%, 59%, 71%. When I look at the Iran deal and how bad a deal it is for us, it's a one-sided transaction. Terrorist state, really the number one terrorist state. We've made them a strong country from really a very weak country just 3 years ago. When I look at this happening on a weekly basis, we have to bring back respect to law enforcement.
We received a lot of questions online, Mr. Trump, about the tape that was released on Friday. As you can imagine, you called what you said locker room banter. You described kissing women without consent, grabbing their genitals. That is sexual assault. You bragged that you have sexually assaulted women.
No, I didn't say that at all. I don't think you understood.
We heard and saw, with prior Republican nominees for president, I disagreed with them on politics, policies, principles, but I never questioned their fitness to serve. Donald Trump is different. I said starting back in June that we all saw and heard on Friday was Donald talking about women, what he thinks about women, what he does to women. We've seen him rate women on their appearance, ranking them from 1 to 10. We've seen him embarrass women on TV and on Twitter. We saw him after the first debate spend nearly a week denigrating personal terms. So, yes, this is who Donald Trump is. But it's not only women, and it's not only this video that raises questions about his fitness to be our president, because he has also targeted immigrants, African Americans, Latinos, people with disabilities, POWs, Muslims, and so many others. So this is who Donald Trump is. And the question for us, the question our country must answer, is that this is not who we are. That's why, to go back to your question, I want to send a message, we all should, to every boy and girl, and indeed to the entire world, that America already is great, but we are...
Onto that? I assume I am.
Yes, you can respond to that.
It's just words. One of the women, who is a wonderful woman, at 12 years old, was raped at 12. Her client, she represented, got him off And she's seen laughing on 2 separate occasions, laughing at the girl who was raped. Kathy Shelton, that young woman, is here with us tonight. So don't tell me about words. I apologize for those words. But it is things that people say. But what President Clinton did, he was impeached. He lost his license to practice law. He had to pay an $850,000. And I will tell you that when Hillary brings up a point like that, and she talks about words that I said 11 years ago, I think it's disgraceful, and I think she should be ashamed of herself.
Secretary Clinton, you have 2 minutes.
Well, first, let me start by saying that so much of what he's just said is not right, but he never apologizes for anything to anyone. He never apologized to Mr. and Mrs. Khan, the gold. Never apologized to the distinguished federal judge who was born in Indiana. But Donald said he couldn't be trusted to be a judge because his parents were, quote, Mexican.
Take a look at WikiLeaks and just see what they said about Bernie Sanders and see what Deborah Wasserman Schultz had in mind, because Bernie Sanders, between superdelegates and Deborah Wasserman Schultz, he never had a chance. And I was so surprised to see him sign on with the devil. The people of this country are furious. In my opinion, the people that have been long-term workers at the FBI are furious. There has never been anything like this, where emails and you get a subpoena, and after getting the subpoena, you delete 33,000 emails. And then you acid wash them, or bleach them, as you would say, a very expensive process. So we're going to get a special prosecutor, and we're going to look into it, because you know what? People have been, their lives have been destroyed for doing 1/5 of what you've done. And it's a disgrace. And honestly, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Secretary Clinton, I want to
Martha,
follow up on that. I'm going to let you talk about emails.
Because everything he just said is absolutely false, but I'm not surprised.
Really?
In the first debate,
the audience needs to calm down here.
I told people that it would be impossible to be fact-checking Donald all the time. I'd never get to talk about anything I want to do and how we're going to really make lives better for people. So, once again, last time at the first debate, we had millions of people fact-checking, so I expect we'll have millions more fact-checking because, you know, it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Hands. I take classified materials very seriously, and always have. When I was on the Senate Armed Services Committee, I was privy to a lot of classified material.
Why aren't you bringing up the emails? I'd like to know. Why aren't you
We
getting
brought up
to
the
bottom?
emails.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't. And it hasn't been finished at all.
Ken Karpowitz has a question.
It's nice to 1-on-3.
Thank you. Affordable Care Act, known as Obamacare, it is not affordable.
That first one goes to Secretary
Thank
Clinton
you.
because you started out the last one to the audience.
If he wants to start, he can start.
Go ahead, Hillary.
No, go ahead, Donald.
No, I'm a gentleman, Hillary. Go ahead.
Secretary Clinton?
Is it okay for politicians to be two-faced? Is it private on issues? Secretary Clinton,
well,
your 2 minutes.
Right. As I recall, that was something I said about Abraham Lincoln after having seen the wonderful Steven Spielberg movie called Lincoln. It was a master class watching President Lincoln.
She's blaming the lie on the late, great Abraham Lincoln. That's one that I haven't. Okay, Honest Abe. Honest Abe never lied. That's the good thing. That's the big difference between Abraham Lincoln and you. That's a big, big difference. We're talking about some difference. By the time anything wrong happens, they like to say, the Russians, she doesn't know if it's the Russians doing the hacking. Maybe there is no hacking. But they always blame Russia. And the reason they blame Russia is because they think they're trying to tarnish me with Russia. I tell you that because they know my sheet very well. In order to get that development, I had to have. Now, the tax of her friends took bigger deductions. Warren Buffett took a massive deduction. Soros, who's a friend of hers, took a massive deduction. Many of the people that are giving her all this money that she can do many more commercials than me took massive deductions. I pay hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes. But as soon as my routine audit's finished, I'll release my returns. I'll be very proud to. They're
Thank you,
actually
Mr. Trump.
good.
We've got
One of the greatest provisions for people like me, to be honest with you. I give up a lot when I run because I knock out the tax code. And she could have done this years ago, by the way. She was a United States senator. She complains that Donald Trump took advantage of the tax code. But you wouldn't change it because all of these people give Hillary complaining about so many different things over the years. Oh, we should have done this. But she's been there for 30 years. She's been doing this stuff. She never changed, and she never will change.
You've heard just now from Donald is not true. I'm sorry I have to keep saying this, but he lives in an alternative reality. Now, here's what I want to do. $250,000 can.
Old, we're tired, we're exhausted in terms of nuclear. A very bad thing. Now, she talks tough. She talks really tough against Putin and against Assad. She talks in favor of the rebels. You know, every time we take rebels, whether it's in Iraq or anywhere else, we're arming people. And you know what happens? They end up being worse than the people. Look at what she did in Libya with Gaddafi.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God! Shit! Oh, my God.
Gaddafi's out. It's a mess.
Peshmerga fighters, that we all need to be in this, and that takes a lot of planning and preparation. I would go after Baghdadi. I would also consider arming the Kurds. The Kurds have been our best partners in Syria as well as Iraq, and I know there's a lot of concern about that.
Do you believe you can be a devoted president to all the people in the United States?
That question begins for Mr. Trump.
Absolutely.
Complain of a good leader.
600 times. Well, she said she was awake at 3 o'clock in the morning. And she also sent a tweet out at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I won't even mention that.
But American incomes went up 33%. And it's not just because I worked with George W. Bush after 9/11. And I was very proud that when I told him what the city needed
to meet our energy needs, while at the same time remaining environmentally friendly and minimizing job loss for fossil power plant workers.
Mr. Trump, 2 minutes.
Absolutely. I think it's such a great question because energy is under siege by the Obama administration, under absolute siege.
The candidates want to thank the university here. This concludes the town hall meeting. Our thanks to the candidates, the commission, Washington University, and to everybody who watched.
Please tune in on October 19th for the final presidential debate that will take place at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Good night, everyone.